Hi friends, welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. It's Baby Unicorn 184 and today we are jumping into a 100-day hardcore Superflat challenge. We are diving headfirst into the scary world of hardcore Superflat Minecraft, where one wrong move could mean game over, no respawns, no second chances. So grab your favorite snacks, get cozy, and let's conquer this silly block game together. Will I make it to the nether? Build a cozy base? Kill the ender dragon? Only time will tell. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and let the challenge begin. Alright friends, here we go. Day 0 began with me sprinting as fast as I could to a nearby village. I checked in all of the villager houses to see if there was any chests, to see if there's any food I could grab, anything that could help me get started. This first village didn't really have much in it for me, so I quickly sprinted over to the second one to loot it as well. I was so excited that the second village had a blacksmith because the blacksmiths are so important in Superflat worlds. They can give you obsidian and diamonds and really good armor. So I was so excited to get 2 diamonds and some obsidian and boots and 1 piece of bread. And then decided to punch some wood on the floor as a way to get wood, because at least I was safe inside of a house. But then I was like, why don't I just go punch a tree? So I hung out with a horse and punched my first tree. After I got that wood, I crafted my first crafting table and then made a few tools so that I could gather a little bit of cobblestone and some more resources. After crafting some stone tools, I helped this iron golem out with a few of the slimes before then taking on the iron golem to get myself a few iron ingots. I then saw 2 more villages close by, so I decided to sprint to the next closest one, even though the sun was setting. I just wanted to grab a few more resources before taking our first sleep. The next day was technically day 1, and I decided just to pick a random direction and start running. And I ran and ran and ran before finally I saw another village. I managed to loot a fair bit of food from this village, which was really helpful, and I was grateful for that. I was hoping the leather worker would have a saddle. I'm going to need a saddle to obviously get a horse, and getting a horse is going to make traveling around a Superflat world so much easier. So that's definitely at the top of my priority list. I couldn't leave the village without killing the iron golem, of course, before moving on to the next village and looting and killing the iron golem all over again. I then had enough iron to make a chest plate, so I did that before then gathering a little bit more wood and having a little nap to sleep away the scary night. Day 2 started the same way as the day before, with a bit of looting and iron golem murder, which meant I could then craft some shiny silver leggings. Day 3 rolled around and I killed another iron golem and then murdered a whole bunch of animals. The early game of Minecraft really does consist of a lot of murder. As I sprinted to the next village, I could not believe my luck. I found the stronghold already. I was in shock. Finding a stronghold is vital to success in a Superflat world. So I set up shop by placing all of my items in a chest in a house. Days 4 through 7, I spent building a really big fence around the village to keep all of the mobs out, so that took a little while for me. And I also started tearing down a few buildings in a neighbouring village to gather some extra wood and cobble just as resources to have on hand. On day 8, I started a little farm to get some food going, and then I also had to spawn proof any slime chunks that were inside my fence by turning the dirt blocks into path blocks. On day 9, I finally went to a nearby village and got a horse. There was a few to choose from, so I installed a horse stat mod to see which one was the fastest, and then I rode it back to our village. Day 10 was super productive. I started off by putting some beds down so the villagers could breed. I then smelted up some wood to make charcoal for torches to light up our area around our village. And then I also got lots of resources together so I could go up into the stronghold and bridge around between the floating ruined parts of the stronghold. I was glad that there was a fountain water source for me to climb up, but I was so scared I was gonna fall and hurt myself. I know it's safe to land in water, but I'm not very experienced in hardcore and didn't want to mess it up. I was then even more nervous bridging around so high up in the sky. I've never held shift down so hard in my life. Strongholds are important in Superflat because they obviously have the end portal, which we need, but they also have easy access to loot that you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else, as well as lots of books in the library and also some easy lava to get early game in the stronghold room, which we will need to make a nether portal. I decided to sleep the night away at the end of day 10 so that no mobs could spawn and knock me down from all the way up here. On day 11, I bridged over to the portal room and quickly destroyed the spawner because I did not want to deal with the silverfish. I then checked how many Eyes of Ender were already in the portal and was happy that there was already 3 in there. I then put down a water source so we could get up and down to the portal room a lot quicker. I then spent the rest of day 11 and part of day 12 getting the rest of the loot from the chests, but besides some iron, it was all pretty underwhelming. I then went down our water source back to the village. Once I was back home safe, I put down some job blocks in the town center so I could start doing some villager trading. I woke up on day 13 and decided it was time to build an iron farm. So I dug a hole to be the villager prison and put some beds in it, and then I slabbed that bit off so the zombie can't get to the villagers. I then was starting to work on the top part before realizing I was doing it completely wrong and had to tear it all down. Day 14, I continued to work on the iron farm and then took away some of the villager beds so that when nightfall came, they would go and sleep inside the villager breeder. I spent day 15 putting the finishing touches on the iron farm, and by the time nightfall came, I was ready to trap a zombie in its hole. I then quickly slept the night away so all of the mobs would burn in the sunlight. The next day I picked up some of the drops from the dead mobs and was so excited to have bones for bone meal. I then went back to the nearby village to gather more cobble and wood. Day 17 I chopped a lot of trees to turn into sticks to trade with my Fletcher, to then start leveling up my weaponsmith to unlock his iron trade. Days 18 and 19 I expanded my little veggie pouch, did a lot more villager trading for emeralds, and then I realised I might need to fix my iron farm when I saw this happen. The next day, I decided to build a pond to use for fishing, so I dug a hole and filled it with water before realizing I didn't have any string. So up to the stronghold library I went. Then I spent the rest of the day fishing before I got too afraid of the dark. On the way back to bed, I accidentally did this. Oh no, oh no, oh no, run. I started day 21 by breeding my cows, then used my bow for the first time to kill a creeper. After a little more fishing and a lot more villager trading, I couldn't see any cats nearby, so I popped next door to tame my first cat. The tortoiseshell I will name Rosie after my childhood cat. I was hoping if I went to sleep with a cat, they would give me a phantom membrane for potions of slow falling. But this would prove harder than I thought. Day 22 was pretty uneventful, just more chopping trees down for stick trades. I did tame another cat, a ginger tabby named Chip, and when I brought him to bed, he only gifted me string. The next day I leveled up my armor some more and bought my first pair of diamond boots. I then murdered some iron golems as they were popping up absolutely everywhere. I finished the day off by buying a pair of diamond leggings, so I was feeling good. Day 24 and I was finally getting around to building a cobblestone generator, but first I had to get a bucket of lava from the stronghold. On my way back I decided to kill an iron golem but had a close call when I peeled it up in the wrong spot. I decided to build the cobble gen near the iron farm so it would be in range and running while I mine cobble. As there is no stone to mine in Superflat, cobble gens like this one are so helpful. Once I get a silk touch pickaxe, I can also mine smooth stone to trade with some mason villagers as well, which will really help me get some more emeralds. Days 25 and 26 I worked on getting some librarian villagers for some enchanted books. Librarians are also the only way to get glass in Superflat, so I would need some for building and also glass bottles for enchanting. I was also excited to have easy access to lanterns. The next day mostly consisted of doing chores, like breeding cows, farming, and grinding for even more emeralds. I bought my first diamond pick as I was starting to get ready to go into the nether and would need it for mining the obsidian. Day 28 I woke up and got started on my nether portal. After realising I had no idea how to do it the speedrunner way, I changed tactics and just turned the lava into obsidian in my pond and mined it with my diamond pick. After I finished building the portal, I had to use another bucket of lava and some wood planks to light the portal as I didn't have a flint and steel. I then went off to do more chores while I waited, but got so distracted and completely forgot about the portal. I even bought the last piece of diamond armor I needed. The next morning I woke up to the sound of fire and ran over to my now lit portal. After grabbing more food and mining more stone to take with me, it was time to go through the portal and see which biome we had spawned in. After loading into the nether and realising I was in the Soul Sand Valley, I immediately began panic placing blocks to protect myself and my portal. Because I'm a huge baby whilst in the nether, I decided to dig around in tunnels as much as possible to reduce my chances of death. Because I was so scared of falling in the lava, I was making this bridge too wide, but then ran out of cobble, so I had to run back home. I woke up on day 30 and didn't feel like going back into the nether just yet, so I started the day by mining at my cobble gen. I then went up to the end portal room for more obsidian so I could craft an enchanting table. I decided to put the enchanting setup outside, but realised I only had one bookshelf, so I had to chop some more wood to craft more. That night I took a bed outside and made 3 cats come to bed with me because I still hadn't gotten any phantom membrane. But when I woke up, they'd only left me a rabbit hide. The rest of day 31 I spent adding an anvil and grindstone to my enchanting setup, and then I had to level up a cleric to buy some lapis so I could do my first enchantment. I was so stoked with how the bow turned out. I am never this lucky. However, I was kind of bummed I bought infinity books now though, as I didn't need them. Day 32, I finally got around to locking in a farmer with a wheat and carrot trade. After spending some time at my cobble gen, I decided it was time to head back into the nether. I felt heaps safer now that I had a good bow on me as well. I continued to tunnel and bridge around in what felt like an endless soul sand biome, but could not see a fortress anywhere, and it was making me stressed and grumpy, so I headed home. Day 33, I was basically just wandering around and procrastinating by farming, trading with my villagers, and stabbing slimes for XP. I decided to spend all of the next day and night just relaxing and fishing at my pond. I planned to not sleep for the next few nights to try to get phantoms to spawn, as I was confident no hostile mobs would spawn in my village. Day 35, I leveled up my cleric, crossing my fingers that he would sell me ender pearls, and I was so excited when he did. I then killed a few more slimes to get over level 30 so I could enchant my second pickaxe with silk touch. After adding a stone cutter to the villager training area, I then spent the night at the stone gen, but when I realised it was raining and the hostile mobs wouldn't despawn, I panicked and went to bed to clear the weather. Day 36 I leveled up a mason so I could trade some stone for emeralds and gain access to building blocks other than stone and oak wood. I also bought the final ender pearls I would need for the Eye of Ender in the end portal. I ended the day by giving my pond a little makeover and making it a little wider and deeper in the middle, as I hadn't gotten any treasure loot yet and would love some enchanted books or fishing rods. Day 37 was pretty uneventful, mostly just farming and trading with villagers, with the odd iron golem murder sprinkled in. But that night was my third night of no sleep, so I spent the night at my stone gen and also fishing, waiting for phantoms to spawn. As the sun came up the next morning, I had the realization that phantoms wouldn't spawn because I was below sea level, so I would either have to pill it up to positive 64 or get one gifted to me from one of the cats. I decided it was time to head back into the nether and get blaze rods. I stocked up on more steak and a whole bunch of cobble. After bridging across yet another lava lake, I finally found a fortress and staircased up around one of the pillars to break inside. I put wither safety bars everywhere and used some torches to mark my entrance before slowly exploring the fortress. I killed off some wither skellies and got my first blaze rod by sniping a blaze. I grabbed some nether wart to take home as well. Find a blaze spawner, so I had to wander around taking out blaze that spawned in the halls. Once I had 7 blaze rods, I decided that was enough and ran out of the fortress as fast as I could. I grabbed a few more bone blocks on my way back to the portal, and when I got home I realised it was day 40. I spent the rest of the night fishing and managed to get some good loot, like an enchanted fishing rod with mending. Day 41 I went up into one of the stronghold libraries to break bookshelves down into books to help level up my librarians to get to their glass trade. As the sun started to go down, I went up into the stronghold and pillared up until I was above Y level 64. Then as I started building a little safety box, phantoms started spawning and scared me to death. Looting on my sword came in really handy, but I figured while I was up here I may as well stay a while and collect a few more. Day 42 came around as I was getting down from my platform in the sky. It was still raining, so I jumped down and sprinted as fast as I could to safety. I then brewed up my first slow falling potions, making sure to upgrade them to the max 4 minutes. Day 43, I decided to build a bigger and better wall around my village so it would keep us safe and also look prettier. So I started the day off grinding for stone. I then jumped onto the Minecraft circle generator website and did my best to figure out what size the wall should be. I probably shouldn't have YOLO'd the placement of the circle. As you can see in the time lapse, the placement is not ideal and I ended up having to tear down several buildings. Also, please ignore the fact that I messed up the circle multiple times and I think it still ended up wonky. I tried my best and that's all that matters. By the time I finished the circle, it was day 47 and I was tired. The next day I spent tearing down some of the buildings and fences that were outside my wall. Later that night I moved all my chests outside in preparation for knocking down the villager house to build my own base. It was then day 49 and I was still tearing down houses outside our brick wall. This was taking longer than I'd hoped as the slimes kept trying to attack me. I then also demolished the house I'd been staying in to make room for a new, cuter base I would eventually get around to building. Day 50 there was a thunderstorm early on in the day, so I slept so my villagers wouldn't turn into witches or my village catch fire. The next day I set up a new pen for my cows and had to lead them in with wheat from all over the village. I totally forgot I could craft leads. I then started some new crop farms and even added an extra composter to get a second farmer. I also added a bunch of lanterns hanging from my tall trees so I could get rid of some of the torch spam, plus I thought it looked pretty. Lastly that night I tried to make my stone gen look cuter, but would come to regret this later. Day 52 I noticed the new roof on my stone gen was on fire, so after removing all the wood, I then traded with my mason for some quartz blocks and replaced the roof with that. I then also made a second stone cutter to see what interesting blocks we could get from a second mason. Day 53 I made a little paved town square area for the town bell, and I would eventually move the villager job blocks over to this area. I also had to cull a few iron golems as they were getting in my way. Day 54 I finally started on my base. I was really hoping I would have seen a wandering trader by now to have access to another wood type, but I would have to work with what I've got. I was inspired by a base tutorial I saw here on YouTube, but changed it to suit my style and the blocks I had to work with. By the time I finished the exterior of my base, it was day 57, so I spent all day decorating my interior and trying my best to organise my messy chests. Even if the organisation wouldn't last long, I was really happy with how cute and cosy the base was starting to feel. Day 58 I felt like a change of scenery, so I got on my horse and rode off in a random direction. I looted any villages I came by and also killed a few animals for extra meat as I went. There wasn't too much exciting loot, but it was fun to get out and explore. Day 59 I found a spot that had 4 villages really close together. As I was looting them, I found some more horses, and using a horse stat mod I checked to see which was the fastest. I was going to miss my old girl, but with the horse being the only mode of transport I needed speed. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw the wandering trader spawn in the background, as I had waited so long to find one. I was getting pretty overwhelmed trying to tame my new horse while dodging slimes and not letting the trader out of my sight. Once I got to the trader, I was so excited to see dark oak that I bought a sapling. I then immediately remembered I needed 4 saplings to grow 1 tree and panicked as I didn't have enough emeralds with me. I managed to find a few more emeralds before nightfall to buy a second sapling. Day 60, I was trying my hardest to get a few more emeralds by trading with a farmer, but this was not going well as I had no bone meal and the crops were growing way too slowly. I managed to get 1 more sapling, but was panicking the trader would despawn before I got the 4th. The next day I put the trader in a boat to hopefully keep him from despawning while I rode to a nearby village to try and find more emeralds. I found this sick chest in a blacksmith, but honestly would have been more happy to find emeralds. Of course none of the chests I looted had emeralds, but I did eventually find a fletching table, so I grabbed that and rode back to the village. Day 62, I was relieved to see the trader was still in the boat. I got started on chopping any wood I could find to trade sticks with the new Fletcher. Once I got my 4th sapling, I also bought a few of the rest of the items. I was especially excited for the pumpkins. After saying goodbye to the wandering trader and finding my horse that had wandered off, I set off on a journey back to our base. Day 63, I grew my first dark oak tree and chopped it down for wood and crossed my fingers I would get all 4 saplings back. I also started a little pumpkin farm. I decided to enchant my hoe to hopefully get fortune, to then hoe the dark oak leaves for even more saplings. I had to re-roll the enchant, but got fortune on my second try. Using the hoe, I got 19 saplings and was super happy with that. I used some dark oak trapdoors and my new blue orchids to make cute little planter boxes outside my house. I then had the brilliant idea to run to my portal, outside my walls, in the dark, and got attacked by so many mobs. Once I made it into the nether, I grabbed some gravel to make coarse dirt to decorate my paths. When I got back from the nether, it was day 64 and I spent the day expanding my pumpkin farm and building a second little pond next to my base just for decoration and like good vibes. I spent all of day 65 farming and leveling up my farmers. I thought it might be best to stock up on golden carrots for food during the Ender Dragon fight. I did a little more decorating around my base, then made a garden bed of sorts for our nether wart so we could farm it easier. Day 66, I moved all the villager job blocks over to the town square so they could hang out near their bell. I then decided to make a second little round garden bed and filled it with the poppies from the iron farm. But what I was most excited for was moving the nether portal to inside our walls. For some reason I decided to make nether brick fences to surround the portal, and it took like all day just cooking up the nether bricks. So that night I dug up a bit of a crater, replacing the dirt with netherrack, before building a new and even bigger portal and surrounding it in fence. Day 67, I lit the new portal hoping it was close enough to link up with the old one. It didn't, but I was playing it cool and pretending I didn't care. I then went searching for either a warped or crimson forest so I could silk touch some nylium to take home to decorate my portal. I first found a crimson forest and was so scared of the hoglins that I just grabbed the nylium and ran home as fast as I could. I spent the rest of the night and some of the next morning putting the finishing touches on the portal area and was really happy with how it turned out. I love that the crimson fungus trees can add more colour as well as height to our area. The rest of day 68 was filled with lots of little things, like swapping out more torches for lanterns, bone milling the ground for grass and flowers, farming crops, and trading with villagers. The next day I decided to build a little shelter for my horse, as she had just been wandering around and I could never find her when I needed her. I used campfires for a little sloped roof, stacked some hay bales in the corner, and even added a water trough next to it. Even though this is a small build, I think it turned out really cute. Day 70, I was trading with my villagers when a wandering trader spawned, so I went to see what he had to offer. I wasn't super excited about jungle saplings, but I bought some anyway. He didn't really have much else to offer, so I gave him a little whack, and that made his llamas mad, and one accidentally spat at an iron golem, which was pretty funny. I then tamed the surviving llama and gave it a cute pink blanket. I planted some jungle trees just for fun and actually got so excited when I realised I could get vines from them. Days 71, 72 and 73 I spent trying to get beehives to spawn by growing oak trees that were surrounded by flowers, but I was seriously having the worst luck. I also had to cull a few iron golems, but then I was back to bone milling trees over and over again. Day 74 and most of day 75 I forgot to press record, and of course that was when I got the bees, so here are my beehives and the flower garden I made for them. That night, I also started getting organised for the dragon fight and brewed up some strength potions. The next day, I went slime hunting for some XP to try to get a better enchantment on my chest plate, but ended up with only protection 3, so I re-rolled it and got protection 4 and unbreaking, only to realise I'd messed up and now had 2 protection 4 chest plates and had wasted my precious levels. Day 77, I continued working on getting better enchants and grinding for levels to try to be as powerful as possible for the dragon fight. I was getting pretty sick of fighting stupid slimes and hearing their stupid sounds by this point. I also have no idea how my llama escaped. Day 78, I was still struggling to get enough levels to enchant everything I wanted. So I did lots of villager trading and then decided to try and unwind with some fishing when I found an iron golem stuck in my pond, which I thought was pretty funny. Day 79, I went to the village nearby to bring the 2 sheep there back to our farming area, and things got a little dicey when I was trying to be cute with my sheep. I then made the sheep and llama their own pens in the farming area. I bred the sheep to make a little baby, dyed one pink and the other white so they looked cuter. I also bred a baby llama, but she was a bit shy with her mama. Day 80, I started the day adding a white cat to my collection and remembered there was a jelly cat nearby, so I went to tame it also. Another wandering trader spawned, but I was pretty mad that he was still selling jungle saplings and not something cool like cherry trees. I still bought a few red mushrooms anyway, as well as the coral blocks. I then grew a giant red mushroom just for fun because it's cute. Day 81, I did a fair bit of farming and added a 3rd farmer hoping to get a pumpkin trade, and luckily this guy did. I then thought it would be funny to try the sus stew he was selling and got poison and jump boost, so that was fun. I then was totally not procrastinating instead of doing the dragon fight by starting a new large project, like building a path and moat all the way around the circle. But that was exactly what I was doing. This project would take me way longer than I was expecting, mostly because the slimes would get in my way, and while they don't do all that much damage, they are just so annoying. I was also not game to go outside my walls at night because of just how many hostile mobs spawn. It ended up taking me 10 days to finish, and on day 90 I finally filled in the last of the water. That night, I brewed up a few night vision potions to take on the dragon fight, mostly for you, my lovely viewers. So please like and subscribe to my channel as it would really help me out so much. The next day I decided to procrastinate further by trying to get the last of the 2 farm animals for my collection. So I rode back to the village by spawn, where I remembered seeing chickens and tried to collect some eggs to bring back to our base. I put the chickens safely in a pen and bred them before sleeping away the night. Day 92 I was just hanging out waiting for them to lay eggs, but it ended up taking too long, so I rode home with only 6 eggs, as I didn't want to waste too many days this close to the dragon fight. I did not get a single chicken from the eggs. I spent the rest of the day finally getting ready for the dragon fight. I organised my inventory, made sure I had everything I needed, and I was probably being overcautious with so many items and potions, but I'd never attempted to fight the dragon in hardcore, so I wanted to be prepared. Day 93, I finally set off for the stronghold, only to immediately turn around as I'd forgotten a carved pumpkin. So I quickly made one and then headed off once again. I was so nervous to fight the dragon in hardcore, but I was trying to be brave. I made sure I had my carved pumpkin on and took my potions before running out to take her on. I was stoked to get the first crystal with my first shot, but let's just say the rest didn't go that smoothly. The first bit of damage I took scared me, so I ate one of the golden apples I brought. The last crystal was on the tallest pillar and I was having so much trouble getting it. I tried pillaring up twice to try to get a better angle and eventually got it. took my time and did my best to avoid taking damage, and eventually was able to wear her down and deal the final blows. I was so excited that I survived the fight, I grabbed my egg as the trophy and headed back through the portal. I had to take an extra minute to show off the egg because I was so excited to be home safe. I decided I wanted a little egg monument near our house, so I tore down the enchanting setup and moved it to a free space near the nether portal. Day 94 rolled around and I wanted to make sure our village was as pretty as possible before our 100 days were up. So I bone mealed a lot of the ground to get more grass and flowers. I also swapped out more torches for lanterns to help with the cozy feel. I then made a little mossy pillar to use as the dragon egg monument and added some candles to complete the build. Day 95, I grabbed all the seeds I could from my farm and rode back to the village that had the chickens. I bred the chickens up one more time using the seeds I had to turn the baby chicks into big girls. There was so many slimes here and they were so annoying. I slept away the night so no baddies would spawn. The next day I bred the chickens up again and was killing slimes, killing time, when I grabbed a few more eggs, then realised I had over a stack of 16 and was about to leave when they laid a few more. When I got home, I threw all 22 eggs and only got 3 chicks, but that was all I needed. That only left me with the pigs to get. So I rode my horse to a nearby village where I knew there were some. I probably just shouldn't have killed the 2 I had in the first place. Day 97, I put the pigs on my horse on leads and ran back to my base as quickly as I could, dodging the slimes. I made the pigs their own little pen between the sheep and llamas. I then did a bit of farming and made a jukebox just to flex. Day 98, I continued making my village look as cute as I could, adding more grass and flowers. I spent a bit of time removing the paths outside the walls before giving up because there was too many slimes. That night, because I had so many slime balls, I decided to do something random and I basically made a trampoline. So here is me jumping on that. Whee! It was then day 99 and I spent some time with my villagers, making sure all their trades were unlocked. After I said goodbye to the villagers, I visited all my cats one last time and then took a swim in my pond. I then reminisced in front of our egg monument and said goodbye to my horse. I spent the rest of the night relaxing by fishing at my pond, and then as the sun started to come up on day 100, I went to the top of my tower and watched the sun rise over all I had achieved in this 100-day hardcore challenge. If you've made it to the end of this video, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all for your support. And please, if you have a second, like the video, leave a comment and let me know what you thought of this. It took a long time to put together, so I'd really love to hear your feedback. Thank you so much, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!